Cecil B. DeMille once said that the person who makes a mistake and doesn't correct it is making a second mistake. He made very few mistakes. The Ten Commandments, filmed across Egypt, Sinai, and the back lots of Hollywood, cost more than any American film before it. It ran nearly 4 hours. It featured thousands of extras, 6 Academy Award nominations, and a cast that read like a who's who of classic Hollywood royalty. It became the highest-grossing film of 1956, and it has never truly left theaters since. But tonight on Famevora, we look beyond the production records and the box office numbers. We look at the human beings, where they came from, what the film cost them and gave them, and where the road eventually led. Moses is the story's spine, a man rebuilt by purpose and sent back into the world carrying something heavier than stone. Charlton Heston, born October 4, 1923 in Evanston, Illinois, 33 years old when the film premiered in 1956, brought towering authority to a role that defined an era of Hollywood biblical epic. His Moses mattered because the transformation felt earned. A prince becoming a prophet, and Heston made every stage believable. He played Moses not as a saint, but as a man who doubted, grieved, and chose conscience over comfort. In a film of thundering miracles, his greatest miracle was entirely internal. Heston became one of cinema's most recognized leading men. He passed away on April 5, 2008, from Alzheimer's disease at age 84. Moses remains his defining image, conviction carved permanently into film history. Ramses is empire made flesh, proud, relentless, and incapable of accepting a world that exists beyond his authority. Yul Brynner, born July 11, 1920, in Vladivostok, Russia, 36 years old when the film released, needed no introduction. Every gesture was authority, every silence a declaration. Ramses mattered because Brynner refused simplicity. He played the pharaoh as a man of genuine conviction, someone who believed yielding, even to God, was annihilation. That refusal made him tragic rather than merely cruel. Audiences watched immense power collapse and still refused to bend. Every stare became a battle, every stillness, pride consuming itself. Brynner became one of Hollywood's most iconic figures. He passed away on October 10, 1985, from lung cancer at age 65. His Ramesses still stands, authority so complete it feels eternal, even as the story dismantles it. Nefertiti is elegance with fault lines, a queen who loves completely and loses quietly, never letting the world see how thoroughly she is breaking. Anne Baxter, born May 7, 1923 in Michigan City, Indiana, 33 years old at the premiere, brought emotional complexity to a role that could easily have become decoration beside 2 towering performances. Nefertiti mattered because Baxter made her the film's most human presence. A woman loving someone who chose a calling over her, fighting to maintain composure while that truth dismantles everything beneath. Always regal outside, always fractured within. The result is one of cinema's richest portraits, impossible to reduce to villain or victim. An Academy Award winner with a distinguished career, Baxter passed away on December 12, 1985, from a brain aneurysm at age 62. Her Nefertiti remains the film's quietest and most enduring tragedy. Dathan is the danger inside the community, not the tyrant on the throne, but the neighbor who calculates survival and calls it wisdom. Edward G. Robinson, born December 12, 1893 in Bucharest, Romania, 63 years old when the film premiered, delivered the production's most memorably unsettling performance without earning a single sympathetic moment. Dathan mattered because Robinson understood what the character truly represented. Betrayal from within is more corrosive than oppression from without. He played Dathan as a man convinced of his own superiority, someone who believes loyalty is a luxury only the naive afford. His face could tighten into cruelty instantly. His voice turned persuasion into poison without raising its volume. Robinson's career was already legendary. He passed away on January 26, 1973, from bladder cancer at age 79. Dathan remains a masterclass, alarming, human, and impossible to forget. Famevora is the love that asks for nothing in return. Patient, grounded, and present through every silence destiny places between them. Yvonne DiCarlo, born September 1, 1922 in Vancouver, Canada, 34 years old when the film released, brought warmth that softened the epic's harshest terrain without diminishing its scale. Famevora mattered because DiCarlo played devotion as courage. In a film of kings and miracles, Famevora represents the life built quietly beside someone else's calling, waiting through long silences, enduring uncertainty, never asking the man beside her to choose. She gave the role dignity without fragility, warmth without sentiment. Her career spanned decades, later reaching new audiences through television. She passed away on January 8, 2007, from heart failure at age 84. Her Famevora endures. Epics are powered by miracles, but sustained by loyalty like hers. Joshua is the story's human heartbeat, young, devoted, and fighting not for legend, but for the specific people standing beside him. John Derek, born August 12, 1926 in Hollywood, California, 30 years old when the film premiered, brought sincere heroism to a role that anchored the audience's personal investment amid overwhelming spectacle. Joshua mattered because he kept the story individual. In a narrative of nations and divine intervention, he represented the single person, fighting because he loves someone real, and because freedom means something tangible. His devotion to Lilia gave the film its tenderness, liberation, always personal before it is political. Derek later moved into directing. He passed away on May 22, 1998, from cardiovascular disease at age 71. His Joshua remains a portrait of classic screen heroism, brave, sincere, shaped by an era that still believed in noble hearts. Bithia is compassion inside a palace, a princess whose single act of mercy quietly sets the entire story of liberation into motion. Nina Folk, born April 20, 1924 in Leiden, Netherlands, 32 years old when the film released, brought poise and moral clarity to a role carrying enormous consequence despite its limited screen time. Bithia mattered because Folk showed that courage can exist within power. She chose mercy when the state chose violence, and that choice changed everything that followed. She played the role with quiet nobility, keeping the decision deliberate rather than impulsive. In a film of thunderous declarations, her influence arrived in a whisper and landed permanently. Folk later became a respected acting teacher. She passed away on December 5, 2008, from a blood disorder at age 84. Her Bithia remains the film's gentlest spark, small in screen time, enormous in consequence. Seti rules through measured certainty, a pharaoh who values order above all, and whose quiet respect for Moses gives the story unexpected human depth. Cedric Hardwicke, born February 19, 1893 in Stourbridge, England, 63 years old when the film premiered, delivered a performance built entirely on voice and bearing. No grand gesture needed. Presence alone communicated the weight of a throne. Seti mattered because Hardwicke refused reduction. He played the pharaoh as a man who genuinely values wisdom, whose favor toward Moses reflects real discernment. That complexity elevated him beyond plot function into something resembling a real ruler. Power recognizing merit, even without foreseeing its consequence. Hardwick's career spanned distinguished decades of stage and screen. He passed away on August 6, 1964, from emphysema at age 71. His SETI endures. Authority performed not through volume, but through presence alone. Memnet moves like a secret, watchful, tense, and dangerous because she carries knowledge she was never supposed to keep. Judith Anderson, born February 10, 1897 in Adelaide, Australia, 59 years old when the film premiered, delivered suspense through pure theatrical control. In a film of sweeping spectacle, her intensity was intimate and precise. Memnet mattered because Anderson made truth feel like a weapon. Every glance loaded, every step deliberate. She built tension that sharpened the story's turning point, classic technique applied with surgical accuracy. Her role is brief in the epic's scale, yet vital in its mechanism. A supporting character made unforgettable by a performer who understood how silence becomes threat. Anderson was one of the great commanding presences across stage and screen. She passed away on January 3, 1992, at age 94. Memnet stands as a masterclass, brevity made permanent by a performer who wasted nothing. Yocheved is the epic's first act of courage, motherhood as defiance, love as the refusal to surrender what the state demands. Martha Scott, born September 22, 1912 in Jamesport, Missouri, 44 years old when the film premiered, brought a tenderness that felt almost sacred to Moses's mother, grounding the story's grandeur in something entirely universal. Yocheved mattered because Scott avoided all melodrama. She let grief and faith arrive naturally, as if inseparable, which they are. Her choice to hide, to risk, to release her child so he might live, echoes through history across every culture. In a film filled with spectacle, her humility became its own kind of power. Scott had a long and respected career across stage and screen. She passed away on May 28, 2003, at age 90. Her performance remains the epic's emotional root. The greatest stories often begin with the smallest, bravest act. Baka is cruelty given elegance, an overseer who enforces suffering with precision and calls it the natural order of things. Vincent Price, born May 27, 1911 in St. Louis, Missouri, 45 years old when the film premiered, made an unmistakable imprint even in a supporting role. Elegant menace, precise diction, controlled intensity turning authority into intimidation. Baka mattered because Price gave oppression a human face, not abstract evil, daily cruelty, the kind that makes slavery real rather than symbolic. He played Baka with cold certainty, adding weight to Moses's moral transformation and making liberation feel urgent. The audience must feel what must be overcome. Price ensured they did. A legend across multiple genres, Price passed away on October 25, 1993 from lung cancer at age 82. Baka remains proof of his range. Even a brief role thunders when performed by a true screen master. Lilia brings tenderness into the epic, devoted to Joshua, vulnerable to danger, and central to the film's emotional stakes. Deborah Paget, born August 19, 1933 in Denver, Colorado, 23 years old when the film premiered, radiated classic Hollywood star quality. Luminous presence, expressive sincerity, softness that never erased strength. Lilia mattered because Paget gave the story a human heartbeat amid miracles. Her love isn't merely romance, it's motivation, reminding the audience what freedom is actually for, the right to live, to love, to belong without fear. In epics, individuals disappear under scale. Paget ensured the individual remained visible. She turned Lilia's scenes into emotional punctuation for Joshua's courage. Paget retired from acting earlier than most peers, choosing a quieter life. In 2026, Deborah Paget is 92 to 93 years old. Her Lilia endures, beauty paired with feeling, preserved forever inside Hollywood's grandest story. Aaron is faith made steady, Moses' brother, companion in leadership, and the voice beside the prophet when the mission grows too heavy for one man alone. John Carradine, born February 5, 1906 in New York City, 50 years old when the film premiered, brought veteran gravitas and a resonant voice that felt like history itself made audible. Aaron mattered because Carradine understood support as its own form of leadership. In a story that could have isolated Moses as a singular hero, Aaron reminded audiences that liberation requires more than one man. He played the role with sincerity and authority, giving the Hebrew community genuine depth, people moving together through fear toward freedom, not a prophet dragging a crowd behind him. Carradine's prolific career spanned classic cinema, stage, and genre film. He passed away on November 27, 1988, at age 82. His Aaron endures, standing beside greatness and quietly helping it survive. And so the Ten Commandments endures, not simply as spectacle, but as a testament to what human performance can do inside a story of divine proportion. The parted sea still stuns, the tablets still thunder, but it is the faces, doubtful, proud, tender, dangerous, loyal, that make the miracle feel real. Many of these performers have taken their final bow. Their work remains, carved into film history, waiting each time the music rises and the screen fills with fire and sand. If this tribute moved you, please like, subscribe, and join us again on Famevora. Good night.